In this video, we're going to show you some basic tips on how to buy a second-hand phone. So if you're thinking about buying a phone off of Craigslist, meet the person locally, of course, safe place, Starbucks, McDonald's, pretty much first thing you want to do, I'd say, is go into settings. Go into settings and make sure that the Wi-Fi is on. If it's grayed out, like a gray color, or it just says off and it won't turn back on, there's a problem with the Wi-Fi. It's not really a big problem, but if you don't know how to fix it, it could be a real big problem. So always make sure that the Wi-Fi is working. And if you meet them at a Starbucks or a McDonald's, you should be able to see a lot of different kind of networks to connect to. If you don't see anything showing up, they could have a really weak signal. So that's always something you want to check. Always, of course, make sure that the home button is working. You always want to test out the vibration. Make sure that the vibration's working. Check all the buttons. Always check the bottom and the top. Check the power button. Another thing that you want to do is look on the bottom. If it's missing the two screws here, it could be that they tried to repair it before and they lost the screws. This isn't always the case, but you always want to check that out. Another thing is, this is what the guys at Apple do, is they try to look in here. They flash a light in here to see if it's red, and then it usually means water damage. And always you want to plug in your headphones here and make sure it's working. Another thing is you want to check the proximity on it. So go into this voice memos, and usually I whistle in it because you can kind of see the different decibels. So as we can see, that was working. So you would just record that, and since I already have a recorded one, let's see what we got here. Make sure that the bottom is working right, and click here, and this is for the ear speaker. And see, when you place your hand over here, it should dim the screen. If it doesn't dim the screen, wait, let's do it again. If it doesn't dim the screen, that means that they probably replaced the LCD and they didn't do a good job. So, that's a real headache for a lot of people that, they buy a phone, they didn't know it was repaired, and then every time they try to make a phone call, their face is hitting, a button or a mute button or something. It's a real headache. Now let's get into more advanced stuff for all the guys that are, buying secondhand phones and repairing them. The easiest way to kind of test out a bad CPU is here. Go into camera, go into video, and just let it run. Let it run for about 10 minutes. Record and just let it run for about 10 minutes. If there's any problem with the CPU, then it'll show right away that the phone will turn off. This is usually caused from water damage, so this is pretty much like the easiest way to check to see if a CPU is bad. Now let's go to the back of the phone. I already took out the screws, of course, but usually you'd have to remove the two screws on the bottom. As I said, this isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people don't have tools to do this, but it's kind of important. Right here is where they have the white sticker. As you can see, this one has already been opened before, or else it would be just solid white like this. So this has been opened by me, of course. You can't always trust this because they do sell new stickers. You can order these on eBay. I have about 1,000 of them, and you can just replace it. So you can't always tell from this, okay? Always too, you want to disconnect the battery here and see if there's any corrosion or anything weird going on. Usually with bad service, you'll see a lot of corrosion right over here, especially from water coming in from the bottom area. This one I already took out the camera, of course. And always with the screws, as you can see, this is kind of tilted to the side. It's not straight. Always with the iPhone stuff, the screw is always going to be straight. You know, I guess maybe that's kind of a rule for them. I'm not sure, but it's always usually straight. A real easy thing you can also do is you can smell the phone. If I know it sounds weird, but if you smell it down here and it smells kind of like burny kind of smell, maybe your IC is bad. You know, they got some water down there, and it's just kind of, you know, been corroding over there, and you have like a little bit of a burny smell. Next, for your CPU, if you already did the other test that you ran the video camera for about 10 minutes and it didn't power down, it's probably good, because usually if there's a replacement battery, even a lot of these guys, they get some water damage and they go to a repair shop that doesn't really know how to repair phones. So the first thing they do is they say, okay, put in a new battery. That doesn't work, try out a new one of these. That doesn't work, try out, you know, new headphones, something. The actual problem is on the CPU, you know. But you can just smell it, you know. Usually, always I can tell if a CPU is bad just by smelling it. If you really have the tools, you can always take out the motherboard and you can test it. I do have a tester. I'll show in another video of where you can test to see what kind of power it's getting. But that's always important. Another thing is, a lot of these guys, that when they replace the screens, this part is bad right here. They don't know how to put it in right, so it's going to show no Wi-Fi. You know, it's usually from some idiot that, or not idiot, just a guy first time doing it. He doesn't know that the metal piece has to touch on there, or else probably not going to get Wi-Fi. But not really a biggie. But you know, this video is kind of just for the amateur guy. You know, first time buying an iPhone off of Craigslist or whatever. So as long as you check all those things, and it's really important that you do, because you might be buying a bad phone, you know. So, and another thing is, never buy a phone that is stuck on the iTunes. If it says, please connect this phone to iTunes, maybe the seller will say, oh yeah, well I just deleted all my info off it. No, don't buy it. Tell them to go back on iTunes, go home, set it up on iTunes, and then bring it back. Because without being able to access the phone, how can you tell anything about it? You know, you don't know if anything works. You know, and you can just get ripped off also. So, you know, that's really important thing to do, is that you want to check all those kind of things out. You know, it's way better than getting ripped off, of course. I'll show you one more thing once the phone gets loaded up. This is not really so important, but you can kind of tell if they were doing something weird. Is go to settings. Oops. About, and then get the IMEI number. As you can see, 01233. 1 second, let me. Now let's check to see if that IMEI number matches that on the SIM card. Yes, it does. So that's always good to check. It's not necessary, but you know, if you check it, then you know if the guy was not really as honest as he's saying. You know, I never really try to buy a phone that doesn't, you know, have that. And also, you know, when you're buying it, you can just pop out the SIM card, check the IMEI number, and go to the website iPhoneOX.com. Or another good one is s-url.ro. Both of those will tell you kind of how old the phone is. Is it activated or not? Is it unlocked or not? It's always a good thing to check out. So hopefully this video helps some people out, and be careful whenever you buy a secondhand phone.